Hello everyone, welcome back to some more Acies Battle Runes gameplay. It is me, Guillotine, and today's video will be more of a how-to or a guide for new or maybe intermediate players on some common openings and basic rushes. So what is an opening? An opening is anything that you do prior to gaining information from your opponent. So you start the game, you send out your scout, and anything that you do before your scout discovers where your opponent is, I would consider to be your opening. There's many phases to the game. You could say opening goes into the early game, and that leads into maybe like a second check, and then after that I would say mid game, into like an adjustment period, and then anything after that I would consider to be late game. Today we're only going to be focusing on openings. Out of respect for other players and myself, I'm not going to show any specific variations of any of these. These are going to be real basic and slowed down. So let's get into it. I'm going to open up training mode and we'll get started on the first open. In my other videos, you've heard me talk about a classic open. It's what I myself and a lot of other players run most of the time. It allows you to kind of read and react what your opponent is going to do. So the order is worker, gas, barracks, and a little bit of lanyard for you. I like to throw an extra worker in between the gas and the barracks because the timing works out to where you're getting that 150 gold around about the same time. That first worker you build though, I set the rally to where I know where my opponent's going to be or where I think they're going to be and start scouting. I look around, see what they're doing, try to get a peek at towers, how many barracks, how many gas, and then I'm just going to go back home and build accordingly. If you aren't planning a rush, I really suggest scouting. That information is vital and getting a leg up on your opponent. But now let's look at a rush. This is the Russian Hound rush. It's a very old school strategy. Not too many people run it in its true form anymore, but the first thing you're going to do is take a deep breath and decide, I'm going to go all in. If it doesn't work, I basically lose, but I can get a really cheap and easy win. So as soon as you hit 300 gold, you lay down 2 barracks, and then you just start spamming that worker button until you have 10 workers. And then you're going to set that rally point to your enemy's gold line. This is a 2-player map, so I kind of know exactly where he's going to be. If I didn't know where he was going to be, I would have to use these hounds to run around and try to figure out where he'll be. So I instantly build 4 dogs or 4 sets of dogs. And while those are building, rather than continuing to spam the dog button, after the first initial 4, you hit that 150 gold, put down a 3rd barracks. 3 barracks is really hard to defend early on if you're going to rush. The downside is I have no gas being built, so if my opponent holds here, I really don't have an insurance policy. This rush is designed to work, and if it doesn't work, you basically lose. Even though it's high risk, high reward, I do recommend mixing in some rushes into your playstyle. So once you get into ladder, especially once you get higher up into master, grandmaster, you end up playing against a lot of the same players that learn your tendencies, so it is good to have some variety. And so here we have another rush. This is what I call the Korean Quick 2 barracks. I ran it in a video a while back. Essentially, as soon as the game starts, you lay down a barracks, and then you hit one single worker, and as soon as you hit 150 gold again, you put down your 2nd barracks, and then you spam the worker button until you get 11 workers, not 10. You want 1 extra, because when you put down your gas, you don't want to have to build another worker. You want to keep that gold flowing as quickly and as often as possible. I like to set my rally point just outside of my opponent's base with this one. Same philosophy here. You build 4 sets of 2 dogs, and then rather than putting down the 3rd barracks at 150, I'm going to wait, be patient until 200. Once that hits 200 is when I lay down my gas. That is my insurance policy. If the initial rush does not work, I have a multitude of different options that I can go into and start playing defense, because when the rush fails, you can definitely expect a counterattack. Unlike the Russian Hound rush, I wouldn't have anything to defend other than hounds, and that's just not going to cut it. So keep building dogs, keep sending them to right outside of his base. I like to wait until a few of them collect rather than sending them in 2 by 2. To me, it's just easier to defend when they go in 2x2, so I like to send in a cluster, maybe micro around a little bit, gather some information. I'm reading and reacting all while attacking. So, on to the next one. Here we have what I refer to as GunFu strong style. It's less of an open and more of a look. There are many different variations of this, and a lot of the newer players that are in GunFu don't really run this anymore, but it is a really good counter for a Hound rush or really any rush. And the idea here is to build up a really good defense and then start growing towards max supply and have a big push. So essentially you're trying to get to double gas, double barracks, and you're placing those barracks in the lane between your castle and your gas. This is going to clog things up and make it really hard for units to get in and start attacking your workers. Last but not least, you're going to place 2 towers right behind those barracks. The reason I give GunFu credit for this one is because in the early days of this game, there were only 2 major clans. There was Espada, which was largely Russian or Russian-speaking members, and then there was GunFu. The Russian players like to run that Russian Hound rush, and this, I feel like, was just GunFu's natural response to it, and I feel like it's become a staple. A lot of old-school GunFu players, you will still come across their bases looking like this. The ice towers specifically, because they're very good versus dogs. So if you've gotten to this point and you haven't been rushed, and you haven't already sent out a scout, I would highly recommend doing so. I didn't send out a worker on this one just because I was just trying to quickly get the look to show you guys. You can always scout with a troop after I send out this spearman. But that's it for GunFu strong style. Let's keep it moving and see what's next. This is a really popular rush these days. It's the Hellgate rush. Like I said in the beginning of the video though, I'm not going to reveal any one specific variation. This is just a real basic rundown. So basically, as soon as the game starts, instant gas, no worker first, gas first. This is going to allow you to start collecting gas approximately like 3 seconds earlier. May not sound like a lot, but 3 seconds is often the difference between winning and losing. Every little bit helps, time is money. And so the order is gas, worker, up until 10 workers, and then you want another worker in your gas, so 12 total workers. And then actually I'm gonna go ahead and do double gas on this one. It's not necessary, it's actually a little bit more risky to do it this way. I've rallied a worker out this way, and I'm just gonna try to sneak him in undetected and wait until my gas count is almost at 100. And the idea here is as soon as you hit that 100 gas and 100 gold, you're going to drop that Hellgate down. It's very hard to defend unless you know it's coming, and you can pretty much do whatever you want off of this. You can read and react, you can go and try to use this as your advantage to get your GunFu strong style look like up before your opponent is really set. The whole idea here is, if not to win the game outright, is to really slow them down. Once these minions start spawning, they're really tough and they kill workers really fast. He's even got a Viking out, and they're just going to keep doing their thing. So on to another one. We're going to go over a basic Iron Pants drop. Now you can use this as a delayed rush or a counterattack. Some people like to mix them in mid or late game just to try to catch you off guard, but it's one of the quickest ways to take out an entire gold line of workers. I credit this to GunFu also because I feel like it developed as the natural counter to the Hound rush. So you set up the GunFu strong style, which is what I'm doing here. I'm sending out a worker as a scout because I want to know where he is. It's very important for when I want to counter. I don't want to have to go and run around to every other corner of the map trying to find out where he is, because that's going to give him time to rebuild. So if your opponent rushes, you should be able to hold strong with the setup that we're putting together here with the double gas, barracks in the lanes, and 2 towers. And then essentially as soon as you have the resources, you want to build 3 Iron Pants and a dropship. This is a very expensive attack and it's quite slow developing. And a lot of players have quit using it because of that alone. And then there was a meta for a while where everyone was using Temptation, and it would just really suck if you spent all that time and money putting 3 Iron Pants in a dropship. You send it to your enemy's base, and before you can even drop those Iron Pants down, it gets stolen away with Temptation. So if you're gonna do this, be wary, be smart. There's a ton of things you can do to avoid that, but just warning you. So by now my scout has been to the bottom left, been to the bottom right. They're both vacant. I know he's at the top right, which is pretty favorable for, you know, the build I'm going for, but I still want to scout him. I want to make sure he's not up to anything weird. Is there a tower? Which there isn't, because the AI is really bad. He's got 2 barracks, but I don't see too much of a threat. I feel like I can really do some serious damage, so I send my worker back. I'm gonna start my castle. I like to expand while I attack if I can. Load up the Iron Pants. I'm gonna send them on over. I realized I hadn't built these 2 towers yet because I was preoccupied. So I lay those down just in case he's got like some proxy barracks or something. He's got a whole army outside of my base ready to go in. I wanna have at least something there to help defend, and then fly right behind his base, and we're gonna drop right in the gold line. And you'll see just how quickly these Iron Pants can tear through the workers. If there's an electric tower here, you wouldn't be able to get this close, so you're gonna have to find a creative way to get around that. But yeah, just in the last 4 or 5 seconds, all the workers are gone. I see that he's got a tank out. I'm just gonna go get a surround on that tank, and that's pretty much GG. On to the last rush of this video. We are going for a basic Temptation rush. The idea is to attack and to have enough resources to cast Temptation on your opponent's first expensive unit that they are building. This isn't always going to work, but it is one of the most frustrating ways to lose, and it will definitely get you some wins in bronze, silver, and probably gold too. I went for the read and react open here. I feel like it works best with this rush because I want to make sure that I'm not getting rushed. And then I really suggest having cryo mages in your deck if you're going to try this out, just because 1v1 they're going to be able to, with a minimal micro skills, they can defeat any unit in the game. Now mass armies, that's a little bit of a different story, but early game it's a very strong unit. So I'm sending some dogs down. I got a cryo mage coming behind it. And I'm really not going to build any more units unless I feel like I need to. I could put down another barracks here. I opt to go for another gas. I'm doing a little bit of scouting, I see he's got dogs. I'm rolling around. He's got more dogs. So I don't really want to waste Temptation on a dog because it's one of the most expensive spells. It is, I think, the most expensive spell in the game. And so I put down another barracks in case he's gonna rush, and I start building an Iron Pants. It's gonna delay my Temptation a little bit, but since he's invested into dogs, that's okay because I'm not gonna use that Temptation right now. So I have a few more dogs to kind of hold the front line. I've got an Iron Pants coming, and then that cryo mage behind in case and for when that unit actually pops out, whatever it may be. So the units are going down. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna peek again. I'm going to do a quick check right here off to the right, make sure that he hasn't already started his multi, which he has not, and now I'm going to move in and attack. I feel comfortable that I can win the dogfight. I do see a slow moving purple bar. It is a Iron Pants, and it is now my Iron Pants. And just like that, I'm pretty much able to win the game because my opponent has sank almost all of his resources into that double gas, double barracks, and one expensive unit, and now it's over with. If you found this useful, please let me know down in the comments. Leave a thumbs up. I'm going to timestamp all of the different builds just in case you want to go back and watch them. Let me know if there's something else that you want me to cover in this more of like a educational type of way. The feedback to this channel has been unreal. I thank you again so much, and please continue to like and subscribe, and I will holler at y'all next time.